Hello everyone, this is Father John, and I just wanted to give some insight into the upcoming readings for this Sunday. This Sunday is the fourth Sunday of Lent, and it's also known as Laetare Sunday, which Laetare in Latin is rejoice. The image that we've been following is following, that's redundant. We're with Jesus in the desert. We're going on our journey. But even during Lent, where we're practicing prayer, almsgiving, and fasting. Yeah, that's right. There's joy in this. And even when you're walking around in the desert, hopefully you find an oasis. And God will always provide oases. A place where we can get a nice cool drink, a place where we can sit down under the nice shade of a tree, and we can just rejoice. And that's what's going on here. Let us remember this weekend to rejoice. And because we know that if we're faithful with Christ, if we persevere in the journey, at the end of the journey is the resurrection. At the end of the journey is heaven, is to be in perfect relationship with the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Now, again, this weekend, like we had last weekend, there's two options for the readings for Sunday. And this is my second or third time recording this because I keep getting these off, so I'm going to have to cheat here. If it's going to be the reading for the scrutinies, for those who are going through RCIA and OCIA, and we talked about that last time, the reading for you is the man born blind. So there's someone who is born blind. And Jesus, of course, as we know, cures his blindness. The image that's going to go on, and it actually connects these two readings, both this one that is for the scrutinies and for the one that the rest of us is going to hear, is this issue of sight and light and darkness, and those who can see and those who cannot see. So this guy, he is brand new and he has his sight, and people know him from his begging because he had to beg because he couldn't see. He's just gotten his sight, and yet he seems to be able to see better than all the rest who have had sight all of their life. And that's why this gospel goes a little bit longer. It's just they start interrogating him. They're like, well, who made you see? Or actually, I'm sorry, at first they even say, is this the one who couldn't see? And people are like, no, it just looks like him. He's like, no, I'm the one. It's like, they can't, there's something wrong with their sight. And then they say, well, who cured you? And then they say, then they bring his parents in. We don't believe that this is the one. You know, the parents are like, no, this is our son. He was born blind. And it even becomes a bit comical because they start asking him the same questions again. Who cured you? And he said, this is amazing. He's like, do you too want to be his disciples? And then they start to ridicule him and they throw him out of the temple. This person who has just received his sight has more insight into the situation than everyone else who's been able to see their entire lives, and thus they are those who are truly blind. Okay? It's not just the ability to see, but it's the ability to have insight into who Jesus is. And of course, Jesus encounters the man, and the man recognizes Jesus for who he is. Now, on to those who are getting the other reading, that the other gospel that we're going to have this weekend. It still goes with the same thing. We have the famous conversation between Jesus and Nicodemus, and we have the famous John 3:16, for God so loved the world. And Jesus is going to play with this image of light and darkness. He's going to give that great news of John 3:16. He's going to say, God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son, and the Son has not come to condemn the world, but to save it. And we say, well, that's wonderful. Then what's going on? He said, but the problem with the world is it prefers darkness. And one of my favorite things to read is Plato's Republic. And in Plato's Republic is through the eyes of his teacher, Socrates. So we don't actually have anything that Socrates wrote down, all right? But Plato presents Socrates as the main character in the Republic. And there's this story about the allegory of a cave. So it's set up like this. These people are born in a cave, so they're used to darkness. And the only thing that they see is apparently there's a fire. They're chained up, so they can only look in this forward direction. And there's a fire behind them, and there are people who are making shapes that produce a shadow on the wall. That's all they know to be true. All All right. Well, one day, some of these people are able to break out. They're able to break their chains, and they run out of the cave. But the light is so bright that it hurts. Okay, their first encounter with the truth is so great, but it's also painful, and they can't make out anything else that's out there. Okay, it's too much. And what Plato or Socrates makes out is this stunning discovery that many of them decide to run back into the cave and chain themselves back in there. The truth is just too much for them. They prefer the shadows. It's easier. But there's always the amazing people that are willing to be patient. So they're out there, it's painful, but sooner or later their eyes adjust to the light. And they are able to see the world as it really is for the first time. And their lives are able to change for the better. This is an incredibly important message for us. We conform and we change according to the truth. And that truth is Jesus Christ. And for those who are in OCIA, RCIA, they're learning that in a very profound sense. They've made the decision to follow Christ. And we all need to make that decision again and again to follow Jesus Christ, to be his disciples. But in order to do that, we have to conform our lives to him, the true light. As he says in the gospel, I am the true light. So I hope this helps with our study of the scriptures and growing closer and in union with Jesus Christ. I hope you have a very happy Laetare Sunday.